Pac-Man is one of the most iconic video game characters of all times. Everyone and their mothers know who Pac-Man is. He had a variety of games throughout the years and TV shows. But among all of them, there was only one little Pac-Man series that gained a cult following.
The Pac is back!
No, not that one. It's Pac-Man World. Now I got that song stuck in my head again. Anywho, so since they announced the remake of Pac-Man World, I thought it'd be just fun to talk about my childhood games. So for the next few videos, it's going to be about the Pac-Man World series with some other games in between. But with that out of the way, let's get started. So after a scrap concept trying to make Pac-Man into 3D, Namco decided to work on a new Pac-Man series called Pac-Man World, which tried to evolve Pac-Man into a 3D platformer around that time. So the game starts with Pac-Man's family trying to come to Pac-Man's house to celebrate his birthday, because this game is supposed to be an anniversary title for Pac-Man. But anyway, so once they try to enter Pac-Man's house, they've been kidnapped by the ghosts. Ending things off with Pac-Man finally entering his home, realizing that he's been ransacked and his wife is gone. With the only clue he has is an invitation to Ghost Island where he can meet the real Pac-Man. And I've got to say real quick, this is probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in a Pac-Man game. But with that out of the way, Pac-Man heads off to Ghost Island.
No, you idiots! I wanted gold streamers and red balloons! The DJ stinks, the banners are crooked, and the cake should be chocolate! You're gonna ruin my party!
Boss!
What do you want?
Pac-Man's here on Ghost Island! The Pac-Man! I mean that pathetic fool trying badly, I might add, to impersonate you, who is clearly the real Pac-Man.
I thought you had captured Pac-Man!
We did, see?
I just realized this is the only appearance of the traditional ghost. So yeah, Pac-Man has kidnapped his family to steal his birthday party, so now it's up to Pac-Man to save his family.
Won't happen again.
You idiots! My plans are already in motion! Pac-Man cannot be allowed to crash my party! Find him and destroy him!
Anyway, so in order to get to Pac-Man, Pac-Man needs to go through 6 areas of Ghost Island. And I have to say, this game has a lot of varieties in settings. There are about 6 locations in this game, which are Pirate Land, Egyptian Land, Space Land, Carnival Land, a factory, and a haunted mansion. The pirate area is a nice little tutorial area to tell you what you're going to be doing in this game. There's various cannibals to avoid, enemies to attack, and special collectibles. You'll also learn that pellets can also help Pac-Man traverse through the area, similar to Sonic's Lightspeed Dash. The Egyptian levels are big labyrinths that you need to avoid. It's very dark, there's booby traps everywhere, and it's connected to a mine. In Spaceland, you need to be careful where you're standing, as there's various holograms you need to stand on and try to activate. Ending things off with this cool little Galaga section. The Carnival area is just a really fun playhouse. You're constantly going up and down on these various rides, although the real area can be a bit jank at times. The factory is very interesting because there's various areas you need to avoid, as this place is very unstable. You also need to swim a lot, as these sewers are pretty much massive mazes. I wonder what stuff they make in here. And finally ending things off is the Haunted Mansion. This place is very haunted, as there's ghosts everywhere, and you need to use these coffins to jump over. Which is honestly a really nice way to go out with this game. Although jumping on these clouds feel a bit finicky, because they're pretty much 2D sprites. And since Pac-Man's going to be a platformer now, he's going to need new moves to take advantage of these various levels. Since Pac-Man originated in an arcade where all he just does is run around and try to eat pellets, in this game they give him more moves to take advantage of his shape. For one, Pac-Man can do this special ground pound move that works exactly like Sonic Adventure, where when Sonic ground pounds, he can get through higher places. This is very useful when dealing with enemies. Pac-Man can also do this special rev roll where he charges up and then rolls like a ball. And finally, he can throw pellets that he collected throughout the area. And I learned by accident that if you grab about 10 of them, you can do the special charge move as well. That I used about maybe 1 time, and that was probably the final boss. But yeah, pellets make a return to this game, alongside with other familiar elements from Pac-Man. Since they converted Pac-Man into a 3D platformer, a lot of Pac-Man's trademark elements became collectibles, like fruit for example. You're going to need various fruit to open certain doors. And just like Donkey Kong, you can find letters that spells out Pac-Man throughout the worlds. These unlock special bonus levels you can play. But the main collectible you need to be looking out in each world are the keys. Keys are essential for beating Pac-Man world because you need them to unlock the cages to release your family. Wait, Pac-Man has a daughter? Now the final element returning for Pac-Man are the power pellets, and there is multiple this time. The first one pretty much turns Pac-Man into Metal Mario, which makes him very durable and sink underwater to get collectibles in these chests. The second one, and the most situational one that is honestly very useful, is that you can upgrade your ground pound move to just Shockwave. The issue is that this thing is not even useful at all. Like, I cannot think of one area that this was useful at. At least the effects on Pac-Man looks cool, so there's that. And the final power pellet works pretty much exactly like the original Pac-Man. Just eat it and the ghosts will turn blue so Pac-Man can munch them. Although ghosts aren't the only enemies in this game, because throughout the game you'll have a variety of enemies attacking Pac-Man, such as skeleton ghosts, mummies, robots, and aliens. Ghosts, on the other hand, are honestly kind of scarce throughout the game. You're able to find the ghosts in certain areas, like when things get more maze-like. Speaking of mazes, throughout the game you'll unlock these special Galaga doors, which leads you to new mazes. So you're pretty much playing like new Pac-Man levels. Now that would sound cool, but my issue is that these mazes are just pretty slow compared to the original Pac-Man arcade. So a lot of times I just avoid them because they're just boring in my opinion. And you need to complete them once you enter, because if you die in this level, you'll lose a life. And honestly, that's just really dumb. They should have made it something like a Crash Bandicoot bonus level, where if you die, you don't lose a life because it's a bonus area. I feel like they should reward you with lives if you're going through with these things. Like, this game is not the easiest game in the world or the hardest game in the world. It's just a decently good challenge in a way. The level design in this game is pretty solid throughout, though the Egyptian level can be a bit rough in my opinion. I don't know, something just doesn't click with me in this area. When I first started the game, I thought the first two areas were pretty fine, but it did get a lot better around the carnival area. Like, this is easily my favorite area of the game. And just like Crash Bandicoot 2 and Warp, you can actually choose your own levels, like you don't have to play them in order. Like, you could do World 3 first and then World 2 second, which is honestly pretty cool in my opinion. Although I personally just do them in order anyway. But the choice is there, so I'll give them that. Now, I do have my positives for the game, but I also have my issues throughout the game. Now, I said before that the Egyptian level wasn't winning me, but when I played the boss level, holy crap! Anubis Rex is probably one of the worst bosses I've ever played in a platformer. It starts out pretty fine with this fun little chase section, but when you get to the second part, holy crap, I did not enjoy this. So you need to spin these 4 pillars to open this guy's weakness, but the issue is, gradually this guy will just keep throwing stuff at you, and you need to avoid. And this really emphasizes the fact that Pac-Man, despite controlling pretty good throughout the game, can feel a bit jank at times. When Pac-Man tries to rev roll and tries to jump out of it, he jumps a shorter distance than he usually does. This caused me to die multiple times throughout this boss. So thank God they're going to be fixing this in the remake, because this ain't fun. Other than that, the boss fights in this game were pretty okay, although this Galaga section can just drag on a bit. Now for the presentation, honestly for a PS1 game, this looks pretty solid. It's bright, cartoony, colorful, and it fits Pac-Man really well. And the music in this game is really top notch. I really love the jazzy feel to it. The world map area has this really catchy tune to it. And overall, it's just a really good soundtrack, although for the boss fights, there is a real glitch that makes them play a different song. But with that out of the way, it's time to wrap up this story. So once Pac-Man saves his family, it's time for him to confront Pac-Man, this mechanical doppelganger of Pac-Man.
You've interfered with my plans for the last time, Pac-Man!
Now this is probably the best boss fight in the entire game, although that's not saying much because we had stuff like this. But I really think so, because since Pac-Man is an evil doppelganger of Pac-Man, he also shares the same moves as him. So he's pretty much attacking you with the moves you've been doing throughout the entire game, which is a really cool concept. It's a really nice way to go out for this game. After all that, Pac-Man goes down, revealing that a mysterious little ghost has been controlling the entire time. Which ends things off with the funniest ending scene I've ever had in a game.
It's so unfair! You ruined everything! Nobody loves a ghost!
Pac-Man just showed no mercy with this little guy. For all the hell he went through with this entire game, I don't blame him. So yeah, that was Pac-Man World, and overall it was a really good and solid PS1 platformer. And this game led to various sequels and spin-offs. Although it did lay dormant for about a decade, it's finally coming back with a full-on remake of Pac-Man World. It's really cool seeing another remake of Pac-Man World 1. Yes, I said another remake, because this is actually not the first remake of Pac-Man World, because there was actually another remake years ago. It was a portable remake similar to Mario 64 DS, but unlike that game, it was not on the DS, but on the Game Boy Advance, which is a console that is not known for 3D games. Well, it can do 3D, but it's pretty rare to see a 3D GBA game. And the first thing you boot up while playing it is a bunch of COG Ghost. DSi games. Well, this game ain't no DSi game. You can't even play GBA games on the DSi. Well, the opening cutscene is still the same, albeit in slideshow form. The background is almost something out of MS Out of all the things that get recreated in the cutscenes, it's just this face, and it just fades to black. Anyway, now here's the big question. How do you fit a PS1 platformer on the GBA? Oh god. So first things first, they converted Pac-Man 1 into an isometric 3D platformer. And it works, I guess, but this is no Spyro Season of Ice. I really don't have anything else to say about this because it's just Pac-Man World on the GBA. It looks fine enough, but depth perception is going to be a real pain in the butt here. I don't know, just play the PS1 version or wait for the remake if you're curious. And speaking of the remake, I am really happy that they're actually doing this again. Even though the Pac-Man World 1 is not my favorite game in the series, it's just really cool to see another Pac-Man World entry in a really long time. And based on the previews I see, they're doing more than just a simple one-to-one remake. They're reimagining this game, and seem to be fixing a lot of the level design of this game, which is really cool to see. Usually when it comes to remakes like this, they just keep the problems with the level design intact, but here they're actually improving the level design, which will probably make this the definitive way to play Pac-Man World 1. And hopefully they can follow up with a remake of Pac-Man World 2, because that is my favorite game in the series. And that's going to be the next video, so when we come back, we're going to be talking about Pac-Man World 2. Probably one of the best platforming sequels I've ever played. But that'll do for today, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye!